Tonight's game might suck, but there are some situations to watch. My name is Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup for Thursday, December 8th, 2022.
It's time for the FantasyPoints.com Daily Lineup. Staying on top of the latest news and updates around the NFL. Rise and shine, folks. We're taking the field. Here's your host, FantasyPoints.com's Joe Dolan.
How much of a masochist are you? I don't know about masochist might be the wrong word. How much of a sadist are you? How much do you love Schadenfreude? Because starting at quarterback tonight for the Rams is, we don't know. But it might be Baker Mayfield. Coach Sean McVay said Wednesday that he's leaning toward Mayfield being active for Thursday's game against Las Vegas. The Rams claimed Mayfield in the wake of Matthew Stafford suffering a serious and potentially career-threatening spinal cord contusion. Mayfield has been one of the 2 or 3 worst quarterbacks in the league this year, but it's possible the Rams need to start planning for life after Stafford. Maybe Sean McVay's tutelage will get Mayfield back to looking like a capable passer, but that seems unlikely. When the Rams claimed Mayfield, they sent him their playbook to read on the plane, and teams can always run basic passing concepts that every team runs. But if the Rams truly determine that Baker Mayfield is their best option, after claiming him 2 days ago, what does that say about John Wolford, who is dealing with a neck injury, by the way, and Bryce Perkins? I guess right now the Rams are in evaluation mode. And if Stafford is forced to retire or has to take some time off, maybe Baker Mayfield gives them something. Because we know they can't be drafting a quarterback in the first round because their first round pick belongs to the Detroit Lions. Does this ruin the fact that they won the Super Bowl last year? Absolutely not. Ask any team out there that hasn't won a Super Bowl or hasn't won a Super Bowl in years how much a ring would mean. But the Rams are paying the check right now, and starting Baker Mayfield on Thursday might be the next payment installment. In our first running back spot, we do have to watch Josh Jacobs tonight. Now, I am expecting Jacobs to play, but it is worth pointing out that he is listed as questionable for Thursday's game with a quadriceps injury for Anthony Galavisa of the Fresno Bee. Jacobs practiced in a limited fashion all week. Now, of course, Jacobs has been perhaps the NFL's most dominant runner this year and posted another 150 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown last week while playing through an injury. But it's possible the short week could have him less ready to go against the Rams tonight. Now, if he can't play, Zamir White would likely be the lead runner with Amir Abdullah mixing in on passing downs. If he can play, well, he's a must-start bell cow back, as he's been all season, in a good matchup against this Rams team that is just decimated by injury, not just on offense, but on defense. Aaron Donald, Tayshaun Robinson, these guys are not playing. In our second running back spot, I always say it. Bam Knight, by the way, is here to stay in our second running back spot. And I always say this every offseason, and you have to remember it next offseason. There will be someone who will be considered a league winner or a league adjacent winner or a league winner adjacent player come this time of year every year who you are not even thinking about in August. It happens every year, and usually it happens at the running back position. And head coach Robert Saleh said Wednesday that Bam Knight, the rookie Zonovan Knight, he might be listed on your website, on your fantasy websites rather, will remain part of the Jets' backfield rotation with Michael Carter expected to return from a 1-game absence this Sunday at Buffalo. This is per Rich Cimini of ESPN.com. He's not going anywhere, was the direct quote from Saleh about Bam Knight. Knight could still lead the way here even with Carter returning after posting 90 rushing yards on 15 carries and 28 yards receiving on 5 catches in a loss to the Vikings in Week 13, which gives him 30.1 fantasy points in his first 2 NFL games. He's an undrafted free agent out of North Carolina State. Now, Ty Johnson and James Robinson combined for just 11 touches behind Bam last week, who had a 55% snap share in Week 13. This backfield still does, of course, have the potential to be a headache moving forward, with 3 backs likely seeing playing time most weeks, but Knight is in the driver's seat to play the Breece Hall role, so he looks like a high-impact fantasy asset the rest of the way. The team clearly loves him, and he's played well in a playoff race. That's a good sign for his usage. At wide receiver 1, somebody we talked about yesterday, plan on being without Cortland Sutton. Coach Nathaniel Hackett said Sutton is, quote, not looking good for Sunday's matchup with the Chiefs because of a hamstring injury. This is per Nick Cosmeter of The Athletic. Sutton was given the dreaded day-to-day tag on Monday. Oh, God, I hate that term. Sutton has been one of the few somewhat reliable fantasy weapons in this offense, but the Broncos could be forced to try to score touchdowns, and that's what they've done all year, try to score touchdowns, not actually doing it. Without Sutton, after just one target against the Ravens last week. But prior to that, he had posted 5 catches and 66-plus receiving yards in 3 straight games, mostly with Jerry Jeudy out of the lineup. Now, Jeudy had been emerging before his injury as Russell Wilson's top target with 53-plus receiving yards in 5 straight games from weeks 4 through 8, before picking up the ankle injury that cost him 2 games. Now, he played on just 38% of the snaps in his first game back from his injury in week 13, but led the receiving corps with 65 yards on 4 targets. Jeudy is just as unlikely to score as any Bronco, but he'll have the chance to lead this receiving corps for as long as Sutton is out of the lineup. And of course, they are likely to be playing from way behind against Kansas City, although their defense is certainly strong. Now, another guy to look at for sure is tight end Greg Dulcich, who, given the moribund state of the tight end position, is worth a look in most leagues. Mike Williams could be back to fill our wide receiver 2 spot this week. The Chargers' Williams, who has missed the last 2 games and most of a third following an aggravation of a high ankle sprain, was limited in practice on Wednesday. Now, if Williams returns to the lineup on Sunday against the Dolphins, it'll send DeAndre Carter to the bench while Williams works on the perimeter in 3 wide receiver sets, with Josh Palmer flanking him and Keenan Allen in the slot. It is worth noting that if Williams does play on the perimeter, he is likely to see a good chunk of Xavier Howard, who in the past has been a shutdown corner, but has been up and down this year. If Williams does go this weekend, consider him a very volatile wide receiver 3, who certainly, though, can provide the downfield element to this offense that it has been lacking since he left. Of course, a large part of that is the offensive line struggles for the Chargers, and I'm not sure those are getting much better this week. And finally, in our flex spot, planning to play on Sunday against the Titans is the Jaguars' Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence indicated Wednesday that his left big toe feels better at this stage than it has over the past few days, per Michael DeRocco of ESPN.com. Let me tell you something. I am dealing with what I believe to be turf toe right now, and it is nagging. It's not a severe case. I think I unclipped from my Peloton the wrong way, by the way. I think I twisted it wrong. And let me tell you, every time I think I'm getting over it, I then stub my toe and it flares back up and it stinks. I don't know if that's what Trevor Lawrence has, but he's a better athlete than I am. Lawrence didn't practice on Wednesday to rest the toe injury. Somehow, despite the nasty twist up he suffered against the Lions last week, and it looked way worse than it actually was, Lawrence escaped with just this toe sprain. All that matters at this point for the Jags, though, was he didn't get seriously injured. Losing the game last week and any potential short-term absences for Lawrence are secondary. Now, if Lawrence does play this week against the Titans, it is worth noting the Tennessee put slot corner Elijah Molden on IR. That's really good news for Christian Kirk. I'm Joe Dolan, and this has been the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup. It is week 14 of the NFL season. I understand the fantasy football season is winding down. For some of you, it might be over. Hell, I have some leagues where I've been eliminated, but in leagues where I'm not, I've been checking out fantasypoints.com for obvious reasons, but also our projections and content are industry leading. Go to fantasypoints.com, use code lineup22, get an extra 10% off. Come see me in our subscriber Discord or tweet me at FG_Dolan. Thank you, everybody, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the Thursday night game.